I want you, yeah, it might be hard to handle, but like the flame that burns the candle, the candle burns the flame. What I got full stop of thoughts and dreams scattered, and then you put them all together. How I can't explain. Oh yeah, you make my dreams come true.
Well, for me, this has just grown. This is enormous. It looks incredible, and what it's going to look like with everybody in here, a massive task to put this on. It looks great, very impressive. I think nostalgia is just really popular these days because people of a certain age can perhaps let their hair down and do the equivalent of what they used to do when they were younger, when they went to clubs and bars, and now they've got, a lot of them have got kids and families and think, wow, I'm just going to have one big blast this summer and go out and let myself go and go camping and put on some face paint and relive my squandered youth.
Hey man, I think just being back in the UK, I don't think we've been here since it's been at least at the minimum 10 years. Hey, I love the audience. What really struck me, I saw Bert and Ernie out there. I saw Bert and Ernie and I saw like a caveman or something like that. If we had a little bit more time, I would love to get Bert and Ernie on stage with me to dance.
I saw the people with the pink hair, and that would call my attention. They was out there dancing. They enjoying themselves, man, listening to everything that they grew up on. I think it's a wonderful time, man, where everybody can come together and party like this again.
I just like that we're doing this whole resurgence of the 90s. I just love it.
I think people love it because it brings them back to their youth. And you know, and it's feel-good songs, they can dance to it, it brings back memories, whether it's an ex-boyfriend, whether they fell in love when they're 16, it was the first kiss and there was a song to it, or their favourite TV show, their favourite movie. There's just loads of things that'll roll around in the head, and when you're doing these songs like, oh yeah, I remember this one and I remember that one, and it just brings back that whole happiness, I think. And
I'm probably biased to this, but I think 80s and 90s was kind of like the end of music the way that we kind of knew it, because a lot of the bands and stuff that came from the 80s and 90s just kind of built up from the little shows right the way up, so when they actually got to where they got to, they knew how to put on a show, and I think that's what you see on these sort of events. I'm your man. Don't you know that, baby? I'm your man. You bet.
Yeah, it was really nice. The crowd was really had a lot of energy. I think the 90s was a great time where the music was still very real, and I think a lot of people can relate, and they go back to their childhood memories they had with the songs they heard back then. I think that's the main thing, and the music is really good. So. And
for this, as an event that's now 3 years old, it's growing brilliantly, and will probably, my guess, if it carries on expanding the way it is, and the amount of people that have tripled since last year to come here, this you know, back to the 80s and 90s will end up being, probably it'll end up eclipsing the actual decades themselves, and could last longer than the 80s or the 90s. And you mark my words, this will go on, because they still find they're singing these songs and they know these artists still, because the longevity of this music is pretty endless, I think. Baby, I'm your man.